I'm Gemma from Concrete Gems Crochet, and today I want to show you how to make this gorgeous wreath. Now this is the Woodland Wreath. It's related to the Woodland Advent Calendar, and you may recognise some of the motifs on there. You can see there you've got the poinsettia, the ivy, the acorn, and down here you've got the toadstool, and they were all on the Woodland Advent Calendar. If you've not made it before, go check it out. If you have, you're going to have some leftover yarn, so that's really great news. Now you can go a bit wild with this and arrange your motifs however you like. You can use a different base. You could have a foam base and cover it in yarn. You could use a smaller wreath. You could do whatever. You could even make them into a garland if you prefer. There are some new motifs on here that you won't have seen before, and some old ones, and it's a really fun quick make and really great scrap buster too. So let's get started, shall we? To make the decorations I used Cutest Katona. It's the same yarn I used for the Woodland Advent Calendar, so if you made that then you're going to have some spare, so you can use that for this as well. I used a few different colours which I will go through now. I'm going to go through them in the order that not the order I use them, but the order that they are listed on the pattern. So first off is Snow White, which is number 110. Then we've got Hazelnut, which is 503. Topaz, 179. We've got Lemon, which is number 280. Fur, which is this lovely dark colour, which is 525. Rust, which is 388. And then we've got Sage Green, which is 212, and Forest Green, which is 412. And those are the colours I use. You'll also need a 2.5mm crochet hook, a tapestry needle for working in your ends, scissors, and then you'll need a wreath base. So the one I use is 30 centimetres diameter, but equally a small one, so 30 centimetres is 12 inches, so a small one, 6 inches, 15 centimetres, that works well as well. And then you're going to need a glue gun or some super glue to glue on your motifs onto the wreath at the end. Some of the motifs are shown in other videos, so what you'll want to do is find the description in the description box below and find the different decorations. They're all listed out there. So it's the poinsettia, the acorn, the ivy, and the toadstool ones. You'll find different videos for them, so you're going to want to make those separately. But first we're going to make the long eucalyptus strand, which is kind of half hidden underneath. So let's get started making that one now. So before we get started, I just want to mention tension. Now it doesn't really matter what size your decorations come out. They will look beautiful however they're big they are, but if you want them the same size as me, I would recommend using similar yarn and a 2.5mm crochet hook, but it really doesn't matter as long as the stitches are nice and neat and quite tight together. There are a few different yarn options you could use, alternatives that I've mentioned in the description below, so take a look at those and see if you have any of those in stock, because this is the perfect stash buster project. Okay, so let's start with making the long eucalyptus leaf strand. Okay, we're using fur, which is the dark Christmassy green, and we're going to start by making a slip knot on our hook like so, and then we're going to chain 61. Okay, so just go ahead and chain 61. Okay, so there we have our chain of 61. Now we're going to slip stitch into the second chain from the hook and then into the, my hand will work, slip stitch into the second chain. Oh my goodness, second chain from the hook. Hopefully you'll have less problems than I'm having. I feel like I can't crochet right now, but obviously I can. Right, so we slip stitch into the second one, and then we're going to slip stitch into the next 9 as well. So we'll have 10 in total. How many have we got? 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, and one more is 10. Now we're going to chain 4, like so, and then we're going to do a treble 3 together. Okay, so yarn over twice, insert your hook into the stitch where the chain 4 came from, yarn over and pull through a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Now we stop there with the treble not quite completed, yarn over twice again, insert into the same loop, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Then we go again, yarn over twice, insert into the same loop again, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Oops, 2. So then you have 4 loops on the hook, and then we yarn over and pull through all of them. Then we chain 4, and then we slip stitch into the same stitch. Okay, and then we're going to slip stitch into the next 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we're going to just repeat all of that all the way to the top. So now we chain 4 again, then we do our treble 3 together, a chain 4, and then a slip stitch into that stitch, and then we slip stitch into the next 5, and then we carry on in exactly the same way. Okay, so you carry on as well, and I will see you when we get to the very top, and I'll show you what it looks like at the top. Okay, so we've got to the top now, and I'm in the very last chain, so I've just slip stitched 5, and we're just going to do exactly the same as we did before. So we've got our 4 chains, then we're going to do our treble crochet 3 together, and this one is going to end up in the very top of the leaves, and then we're going to turn and we're going to work back down the other side. So that's my final chain 4 into there, and we're going to work back into the other side of the chain. So if you can see that here, we've got our chain here, so that's the one we just worked, and then we're going to work into these loops. And you're essentially working opposite where you already worked with slip stitches. I know it's a bit tricky to see with this yarn. Just into those top loops of those stitches there. When you've done 5, you should end up here, which is opposite the other leaf on the other side. And then we're just going to repeat. So we're going to do our leaves again with our 4 chains and our treble 3 together, and just continue that all the way down. So 5 slip stitches between each leaf, and exactly the same way until we get right to the bottom. And at the bottom, if you remember, we had those extra 10 slip stitches at the bottom, didn't we? So when we get back to here, when we've done this last leaf, then we're just going to slip stitch 9 in those 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 chains there, okay? And then you'll be finished and you will have made your lovely eucalyptus. I did have another green one, but I've lost where it is. So there's a darker green. There's a lighter green one for you to see, and that's what it will look like when you're finished. Let's now move on to the mini poinsettia motif. Okay, let's now move on to making the mini poinsettia. You're going to need some white and some rust colour or red. This is number 388 if you want to use the same colour of the Cutest Katona. We start with the white. And we are going to make a magic ring. So we wrap the yarn over like so. So it crosses over with the tail end down here, underneath, ball end on top. Then grab the loop through, and then we just need to chain to secure it, like so. And we're going to make 4 single crochets into the loop. So put your yarn in, your hook into the loop, grab the yarn and pull it back through, and then yarn over and pull through 2. And you just need to do 4 of those. Okay. And now we're going to tighten the ring. And we're going to slip stitch into that first stitch to join our ring up. Okay, whoops. So that is our middle, our center of the flower. So we're going to just grab our scissors and chop that off and pull through, and that is the center made now. Okay, so what we've got to do next is, it's gone really bright suddenly, grab our red, and we're going to work into the front loops of this circle here. Hopefully you can see it there. So insert your hook into that front loop like so, and grab the yarn through like so, and we're going to then chain 3, and we're going to do a double crochet 2 together. So yarn over, insert into the stitch, that front loop only still, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, then yarn over again, insert into that same front loop, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, then we yarn over and pull through all 3, and then we're going to chain 3. We're going to slip stitch into that third chain from the hook, so you'll see 1, 2, 3 into there, yarn over and pull through both loops. That's a slip stitch. Then we're going to chain 3, and then we're going to slip stitch into that same front loop that we've been working into. Okay, and that is your first petal. So then we're going to slip stitch into the next loop around, remembering you've got 4 loops, so ignore this where we've joined it, that's not one of your front loops. Okay, so slip stitch into there, and then we're going to go again in the same way, so with 3 chains, double crochet 2 together, 3 chains, slip stitch in the third chain from the hook, 3 chains, and slip stitch into that original front loop there. Okay, and then we continue around, so we've got 2 more to do, so we slip stitch into our next front loop only and make our next petal. And once you've done 2 more petals, then you can fasten off and weave in your ends and give all of your motifs a little block. You'll need to do that with all of them before you assemble your wreath anyway. And there you have it. your mini poinsettia. So now that you've made your eucalyptus and your mini poinsettias, you now need to go ahead and make all of the other decorations. Now the other decorations tutorials are on different videos, so you need to go and find in the description below, go and grab the video links for the poinsettia, the acorn, the toadstool and the ivy leaves. And what you need is you need 2 eucalyptus, you need 3 mini poinsettias, 3 toadstools, 3 larger poinsettias, 3 acorns, and then you need 8 of the ivy leaves in this colour and 8 of the ivy leaves in the slightly lighter colour, so 16 ivy leaves in total. Now that is to make a wreath the same as mine, but you can equally make one smaller, larger. I'll show you. This is the wreath that I'm going to be using, and whoops, but you can also get tiny ones like that. Hang on one sec. Whee! So this is kind of a 15 centimetre ish, and this one's about 30 centimetre. I'm going to be using the big one, so if you want to make a small one then you can do, but you might find that you cover the whole of the wreath with motifs rather than just covering part of it. Now this is where the fun starts, really, the decoration, and you can spend quite a lot of time working out where you're going to put your pieces, but I will just show you how I do it now. I think we just need to go up a little bit more, if we can, without getting my belly in the shot. Okay, so we're going to start with the eucalyptus, and I've tried it many different ways, but what I like to do is I like it in 2 sections, one at the bottom and one at the top. We've still not got the whole thing in, have we? How annoying. There we go. So like that, but you can do 3 sections, but I actually, and generally I would say 3 is better, but when I tried it I preferred 2, so that is what we're going with. And then it's just a case of laying on your leaves where you think you want them. It's all personal preference at this point. Oh, I don't know what's happened to that leaf. So just lay them out and have a play around with where you think they're going to go. And then once you've got enough leaves, I like to put some underneath a little bit so you can see the eucalyptus as well, and move them around a little bit. And then once you've got all your leaves on, you can then go with the decorations in a similar way to what you would how you would make a wreath, like a actual leafy wreath, as it were. So you've got 3 of each, so I like to kind of spread them out, so it's like that a little bit. Let the red ones in, the toadstool there maybe, and then we've got the little mini ones which we can spread around wherever you like, basically. And there you have it. So what you need to do now is sorry about that, is you need to, let's see if we can get the whole thing in. Whoop. You can get a full view of everything like that. So you need to now go ahead and grab a glue gun and stick them on individually. Now I like to do one at a time, lift it up, pop a little blob of glue on, and then stick it back down in the exact place where I have decided that it's best that they're going to go, okay? Otherwise you risk them going in a different place to how you like them, but that doesn't really matter because anything looks lovely. As you can see, I have just put them down really quickly here and it looks absolutely beautiful. You can also then go ahead and add a ribbon if you want, or you can add more motifs. add a little hanging something in the middle, maybe another poinsettia, make a big one with some thicker yarn or yarn held together. That would make a bigger one to hang in the middle. But I'm going to leave it like this. I hope you've enjoyed making this wreath, and I hope to see you again soon for another tutorial with Concrete Gems Crochet. Bye for now.